Padilla announces bill to reopen lawful pathway to legalization, countering Trump's cruel mass deportation agenda. In a bold and timely effort to address America's long-standing immigration challenges, U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Immigration Subcommittee, hosted a powerful press conference in Los Angeles. Flanked by immigration advocates, community leaders, and families directly impacted by harsh immigration policies, Senator Padilla announced the renewing immigration provisions of the Immigration Act of 1929. This legislative initiative proposes a crucial update to the decades-old registry provision within the Immigration and Nationality Act. An update that could potentially provide a path to lawful permanent residency for over 8 million long-term residents of the United States. A strategic and compassionate response to a broken system. Senator Padilla's proposal arrives amid heightened tensions and mass deportation efforts spearheaded by President Donald Trump and his advisor, Stephen Miller. These policies, widely condemned for their cruelty and indiscriminate targeting of undocumented immigrants, particularly in California, have left families vulnerable and communities destabilized. Padilla's bill seeks to replace fear with fairness by updating the outdated registry statute, a long-standing but underutilized legal mechanism. Currently, eligibility for lawful permanent residency under the registry provision requires continuous residence in the U.S. since January 1, 1972, a date untouched since the Reagan era. The new bill would modernize this requirement to allow undocumented individuals who have resided in the U.S. for at least 7 years, have a clean criminal record, and meet existing green card eligibility criteria to apply for permanent status. Economic and social benefits of registry reform. According to a 2023 analysis by FWD.US, the legalization of undocumented immigrants covered under this bill would add $121 billion annually to the U.S. economy and generate approximately $35 billion in taxes. Beyond the economic advantage, the legislation promotes family unity, community safety, and recognition of the contributions of millions of individuals, including Dreamers, TPS holders, children of long-term visa holders, essential workers, and high-skilled professionals like those on H-1B visas. A strong coalition of lawmakers and advocates. The Senate legislation is co-led by Senator Dick Durbin, ranking member of the Senate Judiciary's Immigration Subcommittee, while the House version is led by Representative Zoe Lofgren, D. Calif 18. Both lawmakers are committed to enshrining long-term protections for undocumented immigrants who have built lives, careers, and families in the U.S. Expanding the registry pathway to citizenship is a practical solution to provide stability to immigrants who have contributed to our country for years, said Senator Durbin. We must protect the individuals who pose no threat while removing those who do. Representative Lofgren emphasized the cruelty of current enforcement efforts. Agents with masks and no identification are detaining day laborers, busboys, and farm workers. It's outrageous. We need reform, not terror. Updating a law from the past for today's America. The registry provision encoded in Section 249 of the INA was first enacted in 1929 and has been updated only 4 times, the last being in 1986 under the Reagan administration. Despite dramatic changes in immigration patterns and policies since then, the eligibility cutoff date has remained frozen. Padilla's legislation offers 2 major updates. Move the cutoff date to allow immigrants who have lived in the U.S. for at least 7 years to apply. Make the eligibility rolling, meaning the law would automatically update the required number of years of continuous residence, eliminating the need for Congress to revisit the cutoff date in the future. A voice for the people, personal stories of struggle and hope. The press conference included powerful testimonies from those affected by outdated immigration policies and Trump-era enforcement. Alejandro Barranco, a U.S. veteran and son of Narciso, who was violently detained by unmarked CBP agents, shared his family's painful ordeal. "My father was beaten by men with no identification after working 30 years in this country. This wasn't just an attack on him, it was an attack on every immigrant who makes America stronger," Barranco stated. Angelica Salas, executive director of CHIRLA, Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, passionately declared, "If we're good enough to care for your parents, raise your children, and build your homes, why can't we be part of the American dream? Only a path to citizenship will protect us and this nation." Broad support from Senate Democrats. The bill is co-sponsored by a robust coalition of progressive voices, including Senators Cory Booker, NJ, Tammy Duckworth, ILL, Chris Murphy, CTN, Patty Murray, WA, Ben Ray Lujan, NM, and Adam Schiff, CA, among others. This unified front illustrates the Democratic Party's growing resolve to pass humane and forward-thinking immigration reforms. Padilla's leadership in a time of crisis. Since entering Congress, Senator Padilla has emerged as a tireless advocate for immigrant communities. He introduced the Citizenship for Essential Workers Act as his first bill, pushing for green cards for those who kept the country running during the COVID-19 pandemic. He also marked the 13th anniversary of DACA, urging permanent protections for Dreamers, and most recently introduced the Visible Act, which would require immigration enforcement agents to display visible identification during public interactions. Padilla also made headlines when he was forcibly removed and handcuffed after challenging Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem during a press conference, an incident that underscores the hostile climate surrounding immigration dialogue in today's political landscape. A call for fairness and action. Padilla's bill doesn't propose creating new bureaucracies. It simply updates an existing statute, one that Republican President Ronald Reagan once called a matter of basic fairness. With this legislation, the goal is clear: to provide a stable, predictable, and compassionate legal avenue for those who have already proven themselves as part of the American fabric. Padilla closed with a direct appeal to lawmakers and citizens alike. If you've lived here for over 7 years, paid taxes, contributed to your community, and followed the law, you deserve a fair chance at the American dream. Conclusion: a renewed push for humane immigration reform. The renewing immigration provisions of the Immigration Act of 1929 presents a real opportunity to bring America's immigration system into the 21st century. With growing public support, bipartisan precedent, and a deeply rooted sense of justice, the time for reform is now. Senator Padilla's leadership could pave the way for a brighter, fairer future for millions seeking certainty and dignity in the only country they call home. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Until then, take care.
Padilla announces his bill to reopen lawful pathway to legalization, countering from cruel mass deportation agenda. US Senator Alex Padilla introduced the Renewing Immigration Prevention of the Immigration Act of 1929, which aims to modernize the outdated registry status by allowing undocumented immigrants who have lived in the US for 7 years or more to apply for lawful permanent residency. This reform could impact over 8 million people, including Dreamers, TPS holders, essential workers, and H-1B visa holders, and would boost the economy by over $120 billion annually. Led by Senator Dick Durbin and Representatives Joe Lofgren, the bill has a broad Democratic support. Padilla emphasizes this is a fair, human, and common sense fix to counter mass deportation and restore dignity to immigrant communities.